Welcome to this show, everyone. This is A Light and Shadow of Coaching in and Beyond Organizations production, a documentary that was made to fund social impact through coaching for women in Kenya, and which has been ICF accredited with 10 CCEUs. And something super exciting, it has won, actually, just today, 29th of March, 2023, the Ellen Shoup Coaching for Social Good Award from Institute of Coaching, a Harvard Medical School affiliate. So I'm very, very proud of this on behalf of everyone that has been involved in this. And this is only possible because of how all contributors had faith in the documentary, bringing about change in others' life by creating ripple effects of growth, change, and development. We believe that everyone deserves coaching and that coaching needs to be democratized to reach less privileged humans in our world. Today's episode is the first installment of conversations with coaches, leaders, educators who either donated to support coach training for women in Kenya, or made an interview contribution to the documentary, or sponsored the social impact initiative, or actually do it all. They all have two things in common. They share their passion for social impact through coaching and love taking a holistic view at coaching from the light and shadow side of our practice. The goal of this series is to give you an intimate peek behind the curtains. What is social impact through coaching for our guests, and why does social impact matter for these coaches, leaders, and educators? You will take a look at the messy ingredients that go into a successful coaching career that combines both the light and shadow side of coaching, and how these two sides benefit our coaching practice. I'm your host, Tünde Erdös, and if you wish to ask a question, make a comment, or recommend a guest, I invite you, send me an email at podcast@coachingdocu.com. Good. I'm here with Michael Tichelmann, who, technically speaking, produced the documentary, and who I wish to have with me, as he will have insights into the nitty-gritty details of creating coherent stories, without which learning won't be possible. Hi, Michael.
Hi.
And of course, my guest today is Carin Bladh. Carin is an executive coach based in Sweden and is certified with ICF at master level. She runs her own podcast by the name What Really Matters, and has authored 3 interactive coach books that are linked to work coherently in a unique way, both for coaches and leaders. Carin coaches by what she says is listening in 50 layers, and I'm so curious to learn more about this, and bases her work on science and modern research in presence, a topic that rocks both our boats. A hearty welcome, Carin. Welcome on this show.
Oh, thank you. I have already had these goosebumps all over the body, and I would like to start with an applause for this fantastic day, the 29th of March, when you have this award. And I'm one of those people who has been watching all the 3 documentaries with such joy and expectation from what's next. What will this bring to our world? What will this bring to our coaching world? So I'm so happy to be here with you, Tünde, and with you, Michael. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Carin.
Thank you.
Thank you for the applause. This is actually on behalf of everyone who has contributed to this initiative, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so aside from being connected through our love of presence in coaching, I have been really an avid consumer of your time to find ways in which to sensitize coaches to why it is important to take a holistic approach to coaching. In other words, to connect with the true love story of being a coach, which is actually a training set that we both are starting to grow.
Yes.
And I very much look forward to this this year.
Yes.
Today, I'm happy to extend the benefit that I've got of knowing you with our listeners. Mm-hmm. And where I would like to pick up today is with your coaching career, and having watched the 3-part documentary, for you to tell us the story of why the light and shadow of coaching matters to you. And I'd like to go back to the first part of the documentary. Is that okay with you?
Yes, yes, it is.
So why is the light and shadow of coaching of importance to you?
As you ask this question, I'm also going back to the first documentary and how astonished I was when you told that it was 2,539 people who was not aware of the shadow side of coaching. How there is so many blind spots for us to reveal and to explore. What are we not seeing in this very important work we do? That was really something that I was astonished by, and I really love the positive side. So the start of the first documentary with a glimpse of a really lovely jewel with a diamond.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny because the two of us, we use often the same symbols. I have also used this facet because I see how it explores the variation of all the aspects and how the light is make this happen when it hits the diamond in different angles all the time. And when you twist it a little bit, what happens? And this is what coaching is for me. It is how you can twist things, how you can make people twist themselves, not only physical, but also inside, and maybe both ways simultaneously. And here you know that I always often go deep, and you were interested in my 50 layers, so maybe we will attach this, what I'm speaking about, how I connect these things through this view of the wonderful jewel with a diamond.
Yeah, because basically seeing the facets of the diamond, it takes listening in many layers, right?
Yes. And to see the reflections and realize how our life in our time, that we can define it like a diamond, or we can see it as really hard times, and we can choose. And this is really a big thing to achieve, where we can choose where we from what angle we would like to see things, if we want to see the beauty or the bad things. And there is the light and shadow thing, but in a way that it's not that I don't want the bad things. It's not that. But it's how I can get the energy from the beauty, how I can make it, how I can help myself with getting the energy from the beauty to cover the other things.
Yes. So it's not trying to dislike it and turn away from it.
No.
It's actually to make use of it, to utilize it. The reflectiveness, the many facets, as we like saying, the many facets of the diamond.
Exactly.
And why is it that it's 50 layers and not 51? Or 52 or 49?
That's a wonderful question. And 50 layers, of course, it's because it's easy to remember. And I've been thinking about the 50 layers, and I probably need to make it more public because people are so interested in this. And I'll get back to the metaphor I gave you in the beginning here, the two of you, where we can shift from outside and from inside. And as I listen in 50 layers, I do it in different ways. I'm listening outside myself, on, for instance, if it is a person, a one-to-one coaching, and I listen inside myself. And then we have this diamond and the facets. What is it that resonates in me from the other person, and what is going on inside myself? And in this way of listening, I need to be aware of, sounds maybe funny for you listeners, but which voices, which part of me do I need to cut off, to make quiet, to be silent as I listen, because my focus, my full energy is on the person speaking to me. But of course, I get information that I need to process to make the things happen for the person who comes. And the best thing for me is to know nothing. I don't need nothing. I only need, as a professional coach, to listen.
When you take a look at this way of listening to the clients and to the world, the external and the internal, and when we take that you were watching the 3 parts of the documentary, what resonated with you? If we pick up this metaphor of the diamond, which aspects and facets of the 3 parts resonated with you?
It was so much and so beautiful, and my goosebumps were going over and over again all over the body. And I simply want to cover what I saw in these three films. I show here with my hands. I saw the globe. I saw the globe in the universe. I saw the perspectives, how we can zoom out and see a much bigger picture than the small thing by the kitchen table, and how we can be connected all the way out there. And this time we live in, we have so much technology that we are able, no matter where we live on Earth, the technology helps us around the globe. And I liked so much that you had met people from all over the world, and I saw you in those positions in different places with different people, and you had one thing in common. You were always almost silent, listening. They were talking, you were listening, and there was a written question, and they were talking. That was what I picked up, and I picked up the bigger picture of our environment. Of course, I say the VUCA world, maybe not familiar for everyone, but the way that nothing is like it was anymore, and how we need to be prepared for the moment right now. That is what we can carry as human beings today, and the responsibility of how we act as leaders, as employees, as human beings. And I really like the whole picture of even the coaches helping with the climate change. So you had this broad picture, you covered it all. And that's why I was applauding in the beginning here, because it's a beautiful work. I'm astonished of what you have accomplished. It's marvelous.
I would like to ask Michael about this, because he is, I did the interviews, that's okay. And I was working on picking out the juicy parts, but it was actually Michael who put the things into a coherent whole. And because you addressed, and I like very much how you're coming in with addressing the whole first. Michael, what was your experience around creating the coherent story in the production process?
Well, in the beginning, it was quite scary to have this amount of interviews, these different locations, different quality of recordings, and this amount of raw material from which we could create something. And I relied very much on your guidance to what is important and how to string together the different topics and different interview partners into a coherent storyline. And for me, the interesting part was with each documentary, with each part, we really improved and always changed how the documentary evolved. And on the topic of the broad horizon and different topics we are dealing with in the coaching documentary, and also what Carin said, VUCA world is really often shown in a negative light, or everything changes, everything seems to be in constant motion. And my thoughts on this, and also for the documentary, as we were getting through it, developing each part and each narrative, that change is always there, and it seems to be increasing. And what I really like to contribute or say, that change, if you reflect on it, always involves yourself and how you deal with change, because it's always an opportunity to change something in the environment, maybe how you're dealing with the environment. So it's an opportunity, I think, and maybe not to see everything in this negative light, that change seems to be increasing.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because when I think back to the process, we had only one part in mind at the outset, and then it turned out to be three altogether. And so we went crossways with the plan, and we changed in order to actually serve something, because then we were guided by this principle, like what makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have conducted the interviews when we cannot share as much as possible from the contributions, because there are people who have invested their time in making a contribution, and then you are investing time in putting it all together, and then people will invest their time and they will invest donations to watch it. So there needs to be some learning, some value in this, how a value chain from the contributors through to the consumers of the documentary and beyond, right? Yeah, it's interesting that you're saying that listening to your call, that get away from focusing on changes increasing to, hey, what's the opportunity in what's happening around us, right?
For sure. And if it really developed the idea of what this coaching documentary is. And for my next question for Carin today, attention really is the new currency. If you say social media, in the media, capturing the attention is a really big part of what's important, and also the powerful are capturing our attention. So for the coaching documentary, how did you experience it or find it, and how did it capture your attention?
Well, it really captured my attention because I was linked to it for several hours and watching it and try to really melt the information, because it was so there was such a density. Vad heter det? Densitet in Swedish. It was so, yes, it was so like this, with a nice film, the views, the music, the art in the film, And when you process all this and what people say, I had the feeling that this is something you need to look at several times to process the whole composition. And as it was long, I had the opportunity to melt during I was watching it, and then there was some things occurring for me, and I really loved this part when the kids came in, when the joy came in, when the future came in, the hope and all the hearts, and what coaching can bring to the world. And listen to these voices. Listen to Magda, the ICF Global Chairman. Listen to her about what coaching is and how we are holding the standards up for what the human beings can do for the world. Each person can really contribute, as Tünde says. And I really love to see the difference of clip from the film to get into your field, Michael. The difference of people who were in different rooms, situations, and the environment. You had made this like a film of our time and how we can relate to it. And what the coaching field, the coaching industry can do. And I had two big ideas of how to really proceed and how to really get influence to the world. And it's a two-way street, maybe. It is to address to those who really are in charge in the world, to be aware of how we will do the best for our children and how we can help them with coaching in early ages. And also to start the very interesting dialogue about value, and value in the, when I talk about value, I'm speaking about value, the money we earn, and the value that life brings, and the value if you struggle with your work, dang, and then home, very tired, and no life. What's the value of that? And try to really find what is, we have one life. What are we doing with our lives? And how can we deal with these things? And how can we, the two big things to address the children and the value, and the ladies and gentlemen out there who are in charge, please be aware of this and do something about it.
This light and the shadow thing, how does that fit in with, for you, Carin, with the light and the shadow bit of our practice? What are we coaches then not shining the light on? I can hear your call very strongly. Where is this bit that we coaches are not shining the light on?
This is a really difficult question because the field is broad and it's different. I mean, everyone in the three films, you see, there is a discussion about who is coach, who is not coach, how are you trained, how are you not trained, and actually we haven't been speaking about coaching yet, but the whole documentary is about coaching, and there are many parts of people talking about what is coaching, what is it not, and how do you manage. And that is one of the things that we have no really specific line about what coaching is. So the light and shadow of coaching in that perspective is difficult to say because it's individual, because it's about how the coach is coaching. And it's different. I coach in my way, another coach coaches in his or her way. And for me, it's coaching is an art. And I was so interested in the third part when art was brought in. And the artist not knowing, not being able to there was a part of a art of a leadership where it is the experience that make a great leader really a great leader in conversation with difficult tasks or special occasions, and how the experience is in the moment guiding this lady or man how to manage the situation. And for some people, they just know. Some are trained, some learn during the way. And that is also what we work with in coaching, how to be a great leader, for instance. So the light and shadow, it's a difficult question to answer because it's different. And if I can say what I think, only for me, I think the shadow part for me is those parts that are my blind spots, that I'm not still aware of. And I'm learning every day, more and more every day. And I love it.
Mm-hmm. You said something about the future, so how you were looking at the future of coaching and how the field is evolving. Is this in relation to what you watched in the documentary, or is this something that you wanted to add on top of this? In what way would you like to bring in? I'm very curious about this aspect of where the field is moving and how you see it. What is it in relationship with the documentary, or is it something you wanted to add on top?
No, I think I picked it up from the documentary, and the wonderful walk through the documentary, where you walked in the nature. You started in the nature, and you are related to the nature all the time, and you are walking through these beautiful woods, and all of a sudden you are under this big fir, and it's so beautiful, and the nature speaks to me and to, I think, everyone, because we come from nature, and you address the elements, you address the sand, you address, we are coming from dust and we are going
dust with consciousness. Yes.
Yes. And this line where we are, when you walk through the woods, and I have the feeling that it's the Wienerwald, and it's so beautiful. And what I picked up was the hearts and the joy, the joy and the playfulness and the body language, how we move, how we speak, how we are moving forward. And I'm also very, very interested in the field of time, how we refer to time. And that's something that I think we are going to be more and more aware of in this time when almost everyone are consumed their awareness about their cell phones, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
and how we need to overcome our brains. And so that's one point, because time and the techniques, how we are able to stay away or be attracted, or stay away, be attracted. That's one point I'm very interested in. And another point is the AI that was addressed in the documentary and how we relate to that. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because when I was cutting the documentary, I didn't really have a frame of reference. Why is this coming up? AI in coaching, it really seemed ridiculous. But as we, in the recent weeks, AI has dominated in the media, and so many new things are coming in terms of technology. I think now it makes sense, at least for me.
Yes.
It starts making sense, right? The broader the perspectives. There is a few things that I'm addressing in the documentary from both the light and the shadow sides, and one of those is mastery, coaching mastery. And since I'm not even sure like how, whether or not we should call it mastery, because I have come to feel humbled about the idea that there is any such thing as mastery. Although in the documentary we are addressing it and we are like, what makes a masterful coach? I'm not sure. What is your take on this part? When we are evoking this idea of mastery, what are we doing to our field potentially? What is your take on this?
I think it's important to have a mastery, something to look forward to see, to watch, to see up to, oh, I want to go there. And then realize that the mastery maybe already is in you. And to open up for the mastery and to make it happen in person after person after person, and to release the mastery in the world.
It's interesting that you are phrasing it in this way, as if it were a process of becoming. It's not something that you attain. Like, for example, we are both accredited with ICF at mastery level, so master, blah, blah, credential coach. But in the end, what does it really mean? What's behind that word? Because what I'm experiencing is that coaches are running after this credential. It's as if it were the thing to attain. That's, if I'm an MCC, then I am. And if I'm not an MCC, then I am just not good enough or not enough. And I just came to wonder about this approach to credentialing and accreditation, which we're addressing in the documentary as well. What are we doing to ourselves and our field when we are just running after a certification, a certificate? What is your take on this way of looking at mastery?
I think the awareness and the presence, and when you get into a room and you feel, and I know we have fellow beings on the earth who are really mastery in this, and for instance, animals, dogs, cats, who run their own mastery on feeling what's going on here. And here we tap into another kind of subject that I haven't addressed, and it's about if we could call it energy. It's something that is, you just pick it up. You maybe don't know where it comes from, and if you are congruent as a human being and in your profession as a coach, the more congruent you are, the more present you are in the way of being, not only acting, then you are approaching your mastery, and then you will be able to release the mastery in everything around. That's my take of it. So running for those credentials, there needs to be something, maybe there should be a training that addresses these levels to help people to, wait a minute, I don't know, because probably you have seen it in your work more than I have, Tünde. I don't know, because I haven't seen it so much, and I just think it's really good to keep on learning, and explore, and learning, look inside, and be aware of how you're acting and why as a person.
Yes, I have seen this, especially in the mentoring. When I'm mentoring somebody, where it is sometimes sad to see that when the coaches take the mentoring to get to the interesting thing is not in the learning, but how can I pass? What are the tips and the tricks that I need to know to pass, to get to that level, which saddens me, if I'm honest, because this is not about it. As you're saying, it's all about learning. And we need to learn, because as Michael was also saying, so it's the opportunity for us in times like this is about what is it that we need to know better or more, because we need to be the one supporting our clients. So we need to be ahead, at least 2 steps ahead, because we have only 3 choices. Either we lag behind and we scurry a little bit behind, or we are learning in parallel with our clients, or we are ahead of them a bit so that we can hold the space for them to arrive where they need to. And this is not what I'm noticing that is happening, or how mastery is being treated at the moment. And I'm not meaning to be generalizing here. I just wanted to bring up this idea of where you are with mastery level, because I do notice in my mentorship that it saddens me to see when it's all about like, how can I pass? It's like, okay, I don't know. Can we just hold the horses here? What is this all about?
There was a guy in the third part, in the third film. Sorry, not a guy, Professor David. Sorry, I forgot his name. He said that only 70% of people on mastery level, he reckoned, was really good, brilliant coaches.
Yeah, David Clutterbuck, yes, Professor
David Clutterbuck, professor, yes. It was the 70% of them were not good. They had their credential, but they.
Yeah.
So it's not about all the C's. I used to start joking about all the C. It's about so much more how you approach, how you adapt, how you act, how you are. And I think to be on the mastery level, you really need to be aware of how you are, the being, and take responsible for your acting, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Michael?
I think the idea of mastery, being someone who is good in his or her profession, is also changing. If we say change is constant and increasing, maybe the idea or the mental image we have of a master is someone who has trained his life to be good at his profession. But today professions really change. So if I think if you have coaching or programming or AI, these are really new fields. And there already exist people who are masters at these fields, who are at the forefront. But if we then say, okay, there's an accreditation process where you can attain a title of some mastery, then the mindset of the people is that, okay, if I just get this, then I'm a master. So this, I think, also is changing, and it's more of an inherent quality which we acknowledge than reaching certain goals. And it's also something I struggle with. I've realized through coaching that I'm maybe running after something just to have it or to attain certain goals, when maybe it's better to focus on what you're bringing to the table, what's your mastery, as Carin said.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And it was so interesting, guys, we are speaking about this, that when we started the pilot project in Kenya, January this year, there were the beautiful souls, the women sitting there, and they were actually shocked that there were no presentation slides. We were sitting in a circle, and it was all about, okay, now what is this about? Because they might have heard about coaching, but they did not know what it really was. And my point is that what they were expecting is, okay, there's somebody, an expert coming, and is going to tell them A, B, C, D, and then at the bottom line, this is what we need to learn. And then they will take notes, and then they will go home, and then there will be an exam, and then they will be asked a few questions and debriefed, and then they will know. And they really had this moment of uncertainty and real, like, where am I here actually right now? Because she's not giving me the presentation slides that I'm expecting to receive. She's not giving me the workbook that I'm supposed to use. She's just there, and we're all here, and we are supposed to pay attention to each other. And it was so interesting, even for the women in Nairobi, where education is not what we would call top. They are having this idea that we only learn when, okay, tell me what I need to know so that I can take the exam, then I can pass, and then I am that expert. It was so interesting for them to see the moment of uncertainty and this liminal space of, okay, I have to let go of this and I can learn differently. That I am not surprised that in my practice here in Europe or in the more westernized world, we are coming across this idea that we need to make an exam so that we can feel legitimate. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to add that on top of that.
Yes, that's really interesting. And then you bring learning and education into on the table here. And I really like the subject that was brought up several times about how our universities our schools are making us as individuals and not like teams. And the way we work nowadays is in teams. We need to be team and work together to manage, because the world is much too complicated for one person to manage. So that is also something that I see for the future. And I really like the perspectives of the no, I forget the word right now. Systemic thinking.
The systemic thinking, yes. Mm-hmm.
And how that is connected with the bigger picture of the whole world and seeing it from outside, and the ripple effect of what's going on throughout the world and how it affects us everyone. And it was connected in different ways. It was connected with a lady who wanted her bowl in the grocery shop to have her salad. And it was connected with all the trash on the soptipp in Swedish, with a garbage thing.
Yeah.
And so it was this whole different things that you see in your everyday life, and how this is melting together into a human being. And what can I do about this? How can I contribute? How can I be for help and make a positive change?
Yeah, but in a collaborative way, right? Because I think this idea, if I remember back correctly, it was brought up that we need to collaborate more as coaches as well.
Yes.
And also brought up in a way that that it's not enough to be just part of a community and I'm belonging to ICF or I'm belonging to another professional body, MCC, or I don't know which one. But it really takes a genuine collaboration, which is very difficult because we still are individuals with our own interests and with our own fears, and in relationships like, is the other one going to take advantage of me, and how am I going to survive in this, and will I get enough? All these attitudes of scarcity that we are dealing with also as coaches. And that was the whole point of bringing it in. Coaches, am I the only one that is perceiving a certain mindset of scarcity in our community? Because while we are connected endlessly on LinkedIn, I don't know, maybe I'm totally wrong and I'm just barking up the wrong tree here, but I'm having the sense that we are not really collaborating in a way that we could create those ripple effects and beyond the me business, that, okay, what's in for me in the first place?
But I have the feeling that we can.
Oh, yes.
And I'm dancing over here because we should make this. This is the future. We will. In my way of seeing it, and the two of us are starting off.
Yes, we are, and it's also important. I'm happy to bring up, for example, the way how we are meaning to make it happen. It was so interesting to see that how collaboration is a very nice word, but when it really comes to the nitty-gritty details of it, how difficult it is, and how we need to be holding the space for each other. Because while we started off very fast end of last year, and we were meaning to put the training in place, I don't know, like in no time. Yeah. We just came to realize, and we were very efficient and effective about this. But then there's life circumstances that happen, and then, for example, I was called to make a stop and call for a stop, and Carin, sorry, can we just move it or reconsider how we can move it ahead, because I'm just not there. I cannot eke out more of my time 24 hours a day than I already do. And then it takes that collaborative effort too, for the other person to trust, for you to trust. Okay, so yes, she's not just has wasted my time last year or whatever, or she's having her own agendas here and there, but that collaboration sounds like a very easy thing to do, but when it comes to collaborating, really, it's very messy, isn't it?
And it's there is these wonderful words that I've heard in the 3 films, and one of the most powerful is trust. And when we have trust in each other, there is no for me problems like that, because I trust this thing. I trust the process. I trust it all. And I think it was so beautiful that all these powerful words were spoken out throughout the 3 films. There was wisdom. There was this beautiful from Africa, Sabona, I see you.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful, and I welcome you. And it was brought with a we thing. And what I say, I'm showing with my arms like a hug here, the we thing, that we are thinking of not only me. It's a we thing. We together learn. and several culture interesting things that was brought in the films as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I also wonder, like Michael, we also had like because I mentioned Carin and my relationship, like how we collaborate and this how we hold a space through trust for each other and ourselves. Like we also we have had quite many projects that we have done together. So it's how is it for you to be? Carin brought up the idea of trusting. How do you handle trust when? I mean, we have had very messy moments as well, right, in the production process. And how did you manage that?
I think during the production, there were quite a few critical moments, but as we have worked together and also crawled before in different projects, I thought you are really looking out for what would be the best for our project. So if we are in the project working together, it really comes down to trusting each other and trusting that we are looking out for different aspects of the production. And it's quite an effort to continue to communicate and to communicate clearly. And I think through our continued projects, we really improved. And also during the making of the documentary, we really hammered out the process on how we produce, how we communicate with each other, how we iterate on the project. And I think one can really see it that with the first part, the second part, and the last part, the volume and the quality really improved. And but our communication didn't increase that much because we got so much more efficient in communicating what do we want, and we really got the feeling if you say something, then I could pick up what should be changed or what your meaning is much more quickly than in the beginning.
I would like to come back to this trust thing, because it's I mean, it's all out there. It's everybody is talking about trust and how important trust is, but speaking about it is one thing, and then having it is another thing.
Yes.
Carin, how do you what are the conditions that allow for trust, actually?
Well, if I shall answer it, maybe sounds in Swedish we say flummigt, very fluffy, because to me, trust is a profound feeling within my body. I can feel it if I trust something.
So it's a physiological and physical thing. It's
yes,
manifested in the body. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's manifested in the body, and it's of course I picked up the signals, but I'm so extremely interested in how we communicate, and that we think that we communicate up here in the head, in the forehead. The whole body is vibrant all the time, picking up, and we are only aware of a small amount of what all we get from things.
Yeah. I just wonder. I just wonder, because I was probably more curious about myself, like how come that I trust? Because I'm also somebody that likes. I mean, I inherently trust, and although I have been disappointed many times in my life, it's sort of like I think the trust is not about the other person. For me, at least, it's not about the other person. It's something that I carry in me, or I don't carry in me, and I cannot negotiate it. I can give you, but I can give Joe, but not Susan. I mean, I think that it's either I am clear in my own communication, like who do I want to be, either I trust or I don't trust, because chances are very high that I will be disappointed again. And no matter how good my plans are and how good the strategy is and how proven the track is, that I've tested the person a million times, and then the million and the first time I will be disappointed. So probably that was my own curiosity around trust, that I don't see it in somebody else. It's not related to I trust you or and I don't trust Bob, but it's something that we either carry in ourselves or not.
Yes, and as I said in the beginning, that I usually get very philosophical and deep, and that's my way of thinking, of being, and I can only talk of trust as I experience it, and it's something within me, and it's the diamond again.
Yeah,
it's the facets, how you are attracted or not, how you are communicating or not with the outer world, with the energy outside yourself. And this might sound fluffy. It's not at all. It's more like quantum physics. And I'm not a physician, so I cannot speak about it, but I have picked up some stuff about these levels, and I really are interested in this in my practice. Why it is so efficient, what is happening in those rooms, in those meetings. Why are the strings sound so lovely? Like in the film, when I felt the moving flowers, when I saw the water, how you had combined it resonated very much with me, and the nature and the things that everyone, maybe you listeners, pick up in yourself and outside yourself in your lives where you live.
This nature, you mean how there is connection with nature? Can you be a bit more specific around this?
Yes, how if you are able to, life is always in change, and there is such awful things we are going through, sorrow, sickness, you name it. When you're in place, if I can say so, with yourself, and you just look out the window, see a tree, a flower, a bird, the sky, the sun, something that is outside yourself, and you really can take this in and stay silent for a moment and breathe and give this moment a joy to fills you and refills you over and over again with gratitude and respect.
And respect, yes. May your words resonate with a lot of people. I see your words as a call to stop and pause. And
Yes.
Stop and pause again, and stop and pause constantly, to not miss life.
Exactly. My goosebumps goes. And to enjoy and to respect and enjoy and respect. And have fun.
And
be
fun.
And be funny and dance and jump around and address the child inside yourself without being a funny thing, but just address it and have this look of the world like, wow, what's going on?
Yes, to have the connection with the unblemished self. That is, I would call it, like sometimes people say, be connected with your innocent child. And sometimes I say, well, rather not be connected with the innocent child, because that might backfire. But to be in connection with the unblemished child, that's still, it's not innocent, because if we are innocent, we are also naive.
Mm-hmm.
But to have, not to carry all the sorrows, as you said, and all the blemish that we have been accumulating over time, willingly and unwillingly, to speak that through us, so that we can connect more with
the curiosity,
and with curiosity.
The curiosity, the child's curiosity of life. And then I'm back to the listening thing, the 50 layers, how to combine, to be an adult inside yourself and a child at the same time. And what is the child picking up, and what is the adult picking up? And how can I twist this, learn from this? What can the little girl tell me? How am I supposed to act now, or not?
What is needed? Yes. Okay, I'm just noticing, Carin, that we have stayed in the global view around the coaching documentary. I'm just wondering if we have a few more minutes to just maybe one aspect, one detail of the documentary. And I'm happy to ask a specific question, to be curious about a specific thing. Which of the three parts resonated with you most, and why specifically?
Oh, that was really a difficult question. The difficulty is because I saw them in a row. So I let them melt into me. So it was several hours I was watching them and taking them in. So which part? You mean which part of the three?
Yes.
Ooh. I'm not sure I can give this question a proper answer.
Which is a proper answer. That's okay. This is an invitation to watch it all, guys.
Yes, of course they shall, because it was like I show with my hands. It was like when the sands go through in timglas.
Yeah, the sand clock. Yes. The
sand clock, and then out again. So it was a learning process through time for me, because it was so, the density was so it was so profound all the time. So I needed the time to look at all the three of them and then melt it, and then it was occurring again, and it was like an ongoing thing for me.
And it's still rippling on.
It's still rippling on, and you see, I have like an engine here, or a wheel or something that is going on, and I'm so curious about the next step, how it's going out in the world, and what it's going to do for people, for everyone watching it, and for the women in Kenya. Wow. And the coaches and the coaching industry. Oh,
yeah. We need to make a little bit more advertising for this, right? To make sure that it reaches more people, sort of thing. So, and this being said, why would you recommend the people to watch it then?
Because they are going to learn about themselves and their perspectives on world, and what they can do, what they can pick up, what they can bring to the table today.
You know, sometimes people are asking me what these were one of the critical questions that I've received is, why should I watch a documentary when I can go to a training and get trained in something? So what is the difference in terms of learning that you said that people can learn about themselves? In what way can they learn differently, or what is the value in watching a documentary as opposed to going to a training or watching a webinar?
I think it's about the responsibility.
Okay.
Of how I can act, how I can be responsible for my own learning, not being feeded only.
Yeah. Okay.
I need to really be into it and look at it and think and process.
Yeah, the way you said that you were actually in the sand clock, it was input coming in and then you were squeezed in, and then down out there you were pouring out again. You said it was occurring again. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I'm really into this, that we need to be responsible.
In what way? Can you say more about this?
Yes, I really love responsibility, to be responsible for how I act, how I say, how I try to be, how I in everyday life, how I address the people around me, how I act with the environment, how I do my things, how I make it around myself. I think that is really important in the small. And here I have the connection with the lady with the salad and the bowl, and out in the universe. For me, this is a clear connection of how every small step, every human being could contribute when we are aware and we take our responsibility in we cannot do it all, but we can do this little.
Yeah, and maybe I will chime in a little bit just to help our audience, like with the lady with the salad bowl.
Yeah.
She went to the supermarket and she was just wondering if she could have the salad, and she was in the delicatessen department, and if she could have the salad just like this without putting it into the plastic bowl. And then she went to the cashier, and the cashier says, sorry, this is how it is. And then she was asking the cashier a question. So I understand that you can't do anything about this, but what if you ask your manager about this? So she was actually sensitizing the person who said, well, I don't know how to do this. She was actually creating accountability in that cashier to go to that manager and say, can we do something differently about how we are putting our produce out there to save plastic? And she was doing it in a very nice way, like the way she was addressing them, the way she was telling the story about how she was addressing the cashier. And she could have just gone home frustrated and saying, okay, again, I bought myself a piece of plastic. But she did not want to miss this responsible moment, this moment of responsibility where she addressed it with the cashier, who again, we would say, like, I'm just a cashier, I can't help. But she said, and how about you went to your manager and had a conversation with him, because he can take decisions. So this is exactly like how the idea that you would like to convey about we can always do something. And there's no such thing as it's not my problem, right?
Exactly. And that is someone else who should do or ought to, or something like that, or should learn me. So that's where it comes back to how I can be responsible on my own, not just give me the credentials so I will become. I need to do it. I need to take responsibility to make the training, to try and to do these different small things, and then also be aware of the balance. Not be overwhelmed of the VUCA world, because we cannot manage it all, but we can do these small things and be happy about the small steps that we accomplish.
And this is actually what the documentary is about, to create awareness for that.
And adding to what Carin said in terms of when you ask her for which part in detail resonated the most, I think the most interesting thing for me is that it really created this critical thinking, or this to want to change or question what you do in coaching and around yourself. And I think touching on what Tünde said in terms of watching passively, watching a documentary or going to a training, what I would say, you're experiencing so many different diverse views and so many different interview partners, and also contradicting each other in such a short amount of time. If you just go to a training, you probably have only one trainer or a couple of trainers, and they try to impart some knowledge or message to you. If you watch a documentary, you see a lot of different views, and Tünde, as the interview partner, really is mostly listening, as Carin said in the beginning, and you can really reflect on your coaching. What can you take away in for yourself? And this is really interesting that Carin said, now you are the responsible watching it. What can you learn from it? So I think this really sets apart this documentary from a normal documentary, because it's mostly about interviews from really diverse and different coaches or people who are in the coaching space.
Exactly.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you both. Actually, I'm very mindful of time now. And this is also the first episode, so we would not know how it would evolve, and we needed to trust the process, right? Talking of trust.
Yes.
So how about we close this for now? And to close it, I would like to invite both of you to maybe give some advice to our listeners. And Michael, if I'm not mistaken, you have a coach too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you, what's a piece of advice that you would like to give our listeners in terms of how to hone their practice and how to develop? What is one thing that, or one or two things that you would like to give them as a takeaway, embedded in this social impact initiative through the documentary? And I'm happy to hear Carin first, but no order of priority, of course.
I would really make this advice that they should really, of course, look at the 3 films and open up all their senses.
The 50 layers, listen in 50 layers. And if somebody doesn't know what the 50 layers are, they are free to reach out to you, and and you will recite it to them.
Yeah. Well, and so yes, but really to open up their senses when they look at these three films, how they look at things, how they see, what they can hear, what the sounds, what they can feel, if they can have a sense of a taste somewhere. Be aware of all your capacity to take in what you get from this documentary, and be curious of what you see and what you will take away and take out and bring further. That is my advice.
And trust that you are part of something bigger than yourself, right? Because this is not just a documentary. This is just a part that imparts some learning. It's just a bit where you can get value for your donation, but actually you are co-creating something bigger than yourself through this, because it is funding coach training for women in Kenya. And I like stressing that a lot, so that to hammer it home with people.
Yes,
that's
wonderful. And as you say this, I remember the film picture, one of the squares with all the cells that collaborates.
Yeah.
And with the heart.
The cancer develops when the cells stop collaborating. Yes. Oh yeah.
So we are those. I'm one of those going around there together with you others, with your listeners.
Yeah, so my advice, adding on what Carin said, responsibility, I think, really is a big thing in today's world, because many people, I think, have the idea that you cannot do something, or you don't really have an option to change something. And that's what I think in coaching and in everyday life, you can look at yourself. That's something you can change for sure. So if you're not sure, or you don't really like what's going on, you can look at yourself and say, what can I change? Maybe in my environment, maybe what can I change in my attitude in coaching, or just in relationships.
Yes, really good.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. So, guys, it was such a pleasure. I thought it would be harder than this to do something like this. So you have been such beautiful guests, actually. Carin, you, and Michael, also you yourself. Thank you so much for being so active, both of you, making it easy to listen to and simple as well for our listeners, and not bringing in big mumbo jumbo. So thank you very much. I truly appreciate this, because the whole purpose is really to inspire people to watch it, so that we can further fund a coach training for women in Kenya. So as we are nearing the top of our time, dear listeners, if you're interested in getting instant access to the documentary, please go to www.coachingdocu.com. And if you have comments or questions and how you can be part of this initiative, drop us a line at podcast@coachingdocu.com. So this is A Light and a Shadow of Coaching in and Beyond Organizations production, a documentary that was made to fund social impact through coaching for women in Kenya. And this is my guest, Carin Bladh, and you can reach Carin at carincoach@gmail.com. And I would like to motivate everyone. So this is the invitation to check in with her to find out more about the 50 layers of listening. And allow yourself to be inspired by how she's trusting, which is a key to success. And also to Michael, thank you so much for being here and being super active and engaging and enhancing our conversation. Feel free to ask questions to Michael as well.
Yeah, you can reach me at michael@coachingdocu.com. I really want to thank Tünde for taking me on this journey, and also Carin for this dialogue, and also thank you for watching.
Yes, and watching and listening. So thank you very much, guys. Stay tuned, and until next time. The next episode will be coming end of April, and we'll have another guest from the Netherlands with us, whose name I'm not going to share with you yet. Keep well for now, and bye-bye.